She definitely had her own way of doing things.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, it's not fine. Like, I don't know. Like, there's a part of me that was like, after thinking about it for a while, like, was I a bit harsh or something? Um, but then probably not. Like, maybe, maybe, maybe I just took like a lot of things that were said as being like real, or maybe I put too much like value on them or something, and I shouldn't have. I'm not saying it's my fault. Takes two to tango, but she was fucking. She was hitting on us as a renter would hit on a landlord, not sexually, but to get the place. Know what I mean?
Well, she did give you lots of very positive signs that she
IO
was
eyes.
willing and able to commit to moving in there.
Yeah, yeah,
So I can imagine your frustration when that didn't happen, but people are people, and she's obviously dealing with her own issues.
yeah,
And yeah, I wouldn't think about being too harsh. I mean, I think some people have a thicker skin than most anyway, so maybe she's one of these people.
yeah, yeah, probably. And I think I'm presuming or assuming, but I think she's the type of person that if there's an issue with another human, she'll choose to ignore it or just put it behind her or whatever. Yeah, fuck it. Let me carry on. Life is good. You know, people are happy. The world's a happy place. It's like
Like
a
total just denying the reality that she's living in.
yeah, which is like, I mean, it's not nice for the people that she affects. But if, for example, where was I going with this?
Well, it's nice. It's not nice for her either, you know. I mean, eventually it'll catch up to her, and eventually she'll get a reputation, and eventually people will start,
Cutting her off.
um, yes, and just
Yeah.
not give her feelings and
Mm.
emotions and time, and maybe
Yeah.
she is alone at the moment. I don't know. Who's
No.
this friend? What's he? Is
She,
are
no,
they
no,
romantically involved or?
no. She's staying with a couple at the moment. Kind of overstayed her welcome somewhat. I think it's been months that she's been like at their house, sleeping in a spare room. But that's besides the point. There's two things though. Like the one is, um, uh, geez, I had it on the tip of my tongue. Oh, like with what I said to her that I shared with you that you checked as well. Like she could have just said like, "Ah, I'm sorry, it was like that for you. You know, I didn't realize I was doing that, or I didn't realize you'd perceive it that way. I'm sorry." She could have just said, "I'm sorry," and
But
could have moved on
but
from there. But
wasn't that? I mean, because I got her remark about just where she's going to be and where you could come and pick up the key. Is that how she responded to the email you sent her without even accepting what you were
yeah,
saying? Just straight
yeah,
off, I'm going to be in the airport at 11 if you don't mind
yeah.
coming there to me.
That was her. That was her response. That was her. Her only response has been that. Like that's that. Yeah.
Jeez.
So it's just like a complete whatever I said, she put it in a little box, threw it away, and then she's kind of like probably thinking, fuck you. And then she's like, oh, you can come get the keys from here, 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 whatever, you know? But the thing is, like, we've gained nothing from this. We've only lost, and she's gained a holiday out of us, like free accommodation at our house, you know? And then she could have just returned the keys as like a, made the mission to return it to us as like a, yeah, that's payment for me staying at
It's
your
the
house.
least she could do.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
But I wouldn't say you've lost and you haven't gained anything. I mean, perhaps you've gained some kind of like, I don't know, insight into
Yeah.
the human condition, some humans and how they are, and
Yeah,
how
but
you
it's not.
could prepare yourself
Yeah, but
for
it's not
more of
exactly
that.
like it's not exactly it was like a willing kind of thing she gave us.
No,
What she gave us was
no.
promises of something and then not going through with it, you know? And yeah, she's got the like she even told us when we sat down with her a couple of times, like the way she has this ability to like just go to companies and like get what she wants out of them. Like she's gotten sponsored a Jeep that she uses. She like has a petrol card. She can use as much petrol as she wants. She just gets stuff from companies. And I just felt like after telling us all of that, and then the way she was with us, she was actually like fucking using those skills on us, like treating us like one of these companies that you can gain from, you know? And I mean, this is maybe me putting too much onto it and like creating a kind of false reality of my own. But it seems plausible. It seems plausible that like she's a bit of a
Con woman.
somewhat somewhat a manipulator, which you don't have to put into like the bad sense of the word manipulate, because there is manipulation is kind of neutral. Like people can use manipulation for bad, but she's very good at manipulating to get what she wants, like manipulating people and their feelings and their belief in her and stuff like that. And I think that's what she could have done to us, even if it wasn't intentional. I think that just could have been what happened, you know?
Do you think it was intentional, or do you think she's just so absent-minded and so la-di-da and caught up in her own universe that she basically just didn't have the forethought to imagine that this would put you guys out in a way, like, and then it just suddenly occurred to her, oh shit, they need me to commit. But having said that, if she had thought like that, she would have at least apologized in the email you sent her.
Yeah. That's the thing. The fact that there's no
So that begs the question. Has she from the get go been just manipulating you guys?
potentially, yeah. And the thing is, maybe if everything had worked out and the planets aligned and she got what she needed from the company in order to move to our spots, like maybe everything would have been fine. But in a way, she then made that, or maybe I'm reading too much into it again, but she made that our problem for us to suffer the blow of, whether she gets her contract or not to go work out that side. And so we would have had to, well, we did carry the risk of that, of like whether we go with her or not. But yeah, it was just like a timing thing. It's like she could have given it a decent amount of time, like warned us more, like forewarned us more, and not given us like the like she used phrases like I'm 100% in, just the contract is a 99% thing. So like, okay, so that leaves us out of 200%, we're 199% good. Is that what you're saying? Like maybe it's just like
and 1% kind of
trump that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Just get the keys from her, and like,
Yeah, we've got
just kind of
another set of keys. Everything's fine. It's just, yeah, but like, yeah, get the keys and move on and cut it out. Cut out the tea.
yeah, and I mean, there's not much more you can do. I'm sure she'll get what's coming to her, and eventually she'll have to make some decisions, or maybe not. Maybe she'll just lack kind of like this perspective of being an inconsiderate person, and then just pass away one day thinking that she's cool.
Maybe she's doing it right. Maybe that's how all people should be, and like we're doing it wrong. Yeah. Like we lose out because we're being nice. Or yeah.
But otherwise, you're well.
Yeah, quite well, eh? Yeah, I had like a little little I don't know, driving home from work yesterday, like I had a decent day at work and everything. Driving home from work yesterday, I had this feeling of like what is this all for? You know, life. And I
It's
mean,
like life in general.
like you live, you work, you fucking buy some shit, spend some time with people, then you die. It's like, I mean, it's everyone thinks that's at some points, you know, and it comes in waves. But like I had one yesterday, but I think it was mainly because I heard from, well, I was chatting to my dad, and he just mentioned he had some, that's not serious, but he has like hypertension, uh,
Mm-hmm.
like which is like high blood pressure, and yeah, he has to take pills every day for the rest of his life, pretty much. And I mean, it's no biggie, just take some pills, but it is a bit of a loss. But yeah, I don't know. It just like affected me a bit, and I was like, oh, that's
It kind of had like a chain reaction on your overall kind of like um, spirit, I would say.
yeah,
Yeah, like you said, I think it's a normal thing to go through things like that, like health and life. My grand's literally on her deathbed.
yeah,
Yeah, she's taken a turn for the worse. She's 92, and they've discovered cancer throughout her body.
jeez,
And there's nothing you can do for a person at that age. And
yeah,
yeah, it's just a question of providing her with enough comfort and dignity to
yeah,
to see out this end phase, and then she'll leave us, and who's to say what will happen after that? But
yeah.
um, she's 92 years old, so
It's incredible.
I could be lucky if I ever got to that age.
Yeah, yeah. Jeez. Yeah, like another thing is yeah, my right knee. I've had like a dull ache in my right knee for like on and off for a while. Like just very dull, like subtle. Like I can feel something's there, you know. And but twice in the past, like fuck, I don't know, like 3 weeks or something, I've woken up in the middle of the night and my knees just locked. And
Both knees.
no, my one knee, my right knee is just locked. And it's like, if I try and move it in either direction, it's like excruciatingly painful. And eventually that just goes away. I'd like, yeah, I need to go to some kind of knee specialist or something and get that shit checked out. Like, see what the problem is. Like, I played football a lot growing up. Like from like the age of 7 or something, I used to play at like the soccer club and everything. And I don't know if all that just adds to it or what the story is. Yeah, it might even be from just like being a bit inactive as well. Like, but the thing is, it's like I do feel like I've got some kind of cartilage issue going on there, because if I put my ear on my knee and I move my leg, I can hear like this creaking, which doesn't seem right. So like this,
That doesn't sound good.
yeah,
Well, we're not getting any younger, but
yeah,
um, there are perfectly healthy 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds out there crushing it every day, doing what they do. I don't know, like being active and,
yeah,
so there is hope, and the body is an amazing thing. So, yeah, I just get it checked out, and then could be something to do with like, I don't know, alignment, or
yeah,
maybe it's something as simple as like just getting a arch or heel support that will get your feet kind of like aligned.
yeah,
Because the knees, it's like knock-on effects. So it's like the way you walk, or your gait or whatever. If there's
yeah,
like something slightly off in like your feet, which you don't actually notice, and your body's making like a slight adaptation over years, and it's like affecting this particular spot now in your knee. It could be something like as simple as that, and maybe just, yeah, I'd go see a specialist.
yeah, yeah,
Could be
yeah.
something really simple.
Yeah, I read up about that. Even like if someone has like lower back issues and they adjust because of that, like it affects the knee as well. Yeah, it's
I don't
quite.
think sitting helps.
Yeah, yeah. Like I found like if I sit a lot, like especially like at work behind a desk, computer chair, it just like kind of aggravates it. And also when I drive like long distances, when we drive Botswana, or when I drive to my folks or something like that, just my knee being in that one position just doesn't help.
It's not a
Yeah,
natural position for a knee.
yeah,
Um, how's this? I don't know why this thought came into my mind now talking about knees, but
mm.
the baobabs are dying.
Yeah. I read about that.
You hear about this?
Yeah,
1,000-year-old trees are dying off for some reason.
yeah,
They said
like
it's something to do with the climate change.
yeah,
How cool are those trees there? I gotta go. That's got to be on my bucket list to go to like
yeah. They're
check out
incredible.
those trees. They're amazing. Some of them are as thick or as wide as a bus.
Mm. And there's a lot of them are like hollow. Um, there's been trees that were used as jails back in the day and stuff like that, just because it's like a enclosed, like one entrance hollow that they can put someone in, and yeah, it's quite incredible.
So crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
we,
don't
we,
know
we
why. Life, I suppose.
yeah,
That's
we
probably
saw
why.
uh, we saw this massive one in Bots, like incredibly huge, dude. Like, yeah,
Oh fuck, man! Botswana is another place I got to go to. That the wildlife, like
yeah,
before. I don't want to be negative and all, but I hope my kid can experience that kind of nature one day. But
yeah,
I'm not too sure. It would be
yeah.
nice to check it out, like now, like live, like
Mm.
actual animals that are not in a cage. They're just
Yeah.
being themselves
I watched this
in
like
their natural habitat.
3-minute clip today. I don't know who the people were that were speaking on it, but they some kind of experts in different fields, and the whole thing was about like humans are the only species that aren't under threat, but we will be. Um, but this is like only the second known mass extinction, like this time now, mass extinction of like loads of different species. And they were saying
Insects are dying, or like
yeah, they're saying something like 200 species a day are going extinct of plants and animals and
mm,
insects. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's pretty intense. And the reason for that is humans. Like humans are causing this extinction.
human activity.
Yeah. And like, just for example, I mean, just trying to remember this figure, but something like since the 70s, we have, as humans, raped the oceans of like 53% of like the life that was in the oceans, like marine life, just because we fucking take. We're taking ourselves like short-sighted, just thinking about like, let's make some money, let's make money. And then you see, yeah, it pisses me off. You see like in America, all you can eat seafood shit like for like $3. It's like, fuck you. Seriously, like you suck.
America.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, man.
But Trump's shaking hands with Kim from North Korea. That's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, maybe it is a good thing. Like there's been negative and positive responses to that. Like one of the negatives I saw was they just gave the world's most like infamous dictator a superb PR boost, for his country. Like, yeah, well done, Trump.
Meanwhile, he's got like people living in like crazy conditions in North
Crazy
Korea, that
prisons, bro.
like
Yeah.
prison camps for people that like don't see him as a deity, or isn't he supposed to be like a deity, like a
Yeah.
god or something like that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Like he doesn't have an asshole. Um, he's like at the age of 9 or whatever. He shot a bullseye twice at this one shooting range or some shit. Yeah, bro. It's like so much cack about this dude that it's
not
incredible.
having an asshole, that must suck.
He doesn't poop. Yeah.
He just doesn't have that
Mm.
need.
Yeah, because
Like the
he's a
food
god.
goes into his body and then it just evaporates somehow through his
Yeah.
pores.
Yeah. Probably. Because he's so busy, he's burns all the fuel.
Oh man, Rocket Man.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
Um,
weird things happening in the world, eh? Jeez.
and they found some kind of molecule on Mars. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, like what was it? Methane, like proof of life existing there, or had existed there, or yeah.
Yeah, apparently life was there. There were rivers and there was water flowing, and
Mm.
as far as I can tell, also flora
Mm.
and stuff like that. And yeah, that's all been gone for ages, but
Yeah.
they found a molecule on and this rover, whatever, Curiosity, whatever it's called, takes a selfie of itself. And I always find that crazy. Like,
Yeah.
it's like there's this machine that we sent out onto another planet
Yeah.
to go dig in the ground and like see what it can find.
Yeah.
And we're here sitting on Earth and like analyzing what the machine has now found on a
Yeah.
different planet.
Yeah, that's incredible, eh? And I mean, people are, are controlling it. You know, it's radio controlled or whatever. So it's not like it took its own selfie out of like joy or like, hey, look at me. But yeah, it's crazy. It's land crazy. It's land crazy to think about. I mean, even if it was the moon, what were we talking about before? Like how far is the moon again? It's like a week or 2
Yeah,
weeks.
no, you were saying it's 3 days away.
Oh, really?
Like
Yeah.
driving from Munich to, I don't know, Sofia in Bulgaria. I don't know.
Jeez. Yeah. It's incredible, eh? That it's. I suppose you're thrusting at like quite a speed to get there.
But it sounds really simple.
Uh,
And but then again, I mean, the technology is not there yet, right? It's not like we could just go to the moon now. And
well, I
I
think.
mean,
I mean, we've been
the
there. Like, I think 12 people have walked on the moon.
if you believe that, yes.
Well, there's apparently there's like, there's like
Proof.
footprint tracks, and they've had, like, I don't know. I saw earlier today, like, there was something about they'd put like probes on the moon to measure like thermometers to measure the temperature of the moon, and the astronauts that went there, and they called them the Dusty Dozen because they brought like Earth dust there. They have caused, or they caused, a 2 degree Celsius spike in the moon's temperature.
These 12 men.
Yeah, because of where they had walked, dispersed the top layer of dust, and then there was a darker dust beneath, and then obviously the color of the darker dust attracts light more, so that in turn increased. I think it was over like 7 years or something. It increased by 2 degrees Celsius. I don't know if it's
So it's, but that's like, here we are fucking up our own like ecosystem. Like, I think we have to get like our planet under control first, don't you? Before we can like, think about being a multi-planetary species. Although,
Yeah.
well, that's what people. That's the solution. They're like, oh well, we'll just move to Mars or the
Yeah.
moon, and the Earth will just fuck out. Like, but it can't. Surely you have to kind of like figure out this problem first, and not just be like, oh well, when this all fucks out, we'll go to the Mars, and that's our solution.
Yeah.
Because obviously, the way that things are moving right now, it seems like, yeah, that the planet doesn't really like it that much. It's like reacting not so lekker to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, but then having said that, like nature just like, it doesn't worry about shit. It just happens. You know what I mean? Like, we are a part of nature, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So, like, are people getting a little bit overthinking the whole climate change thing?
Well, uh, maybe climate change is like a natural thing, and as you said, like we are nature, but we are still um, capable of like seeing, like predicting the future and forecasting things. So if we can see the impact of what we do, and we have a choice whether to like change our ways to have less of an impact, then like surely that would be a good part of nature, like nature, our nature being like helpful in that way. Whereas like uh like
Like giving up meat.
think of like some kind of fungus or something, just for example, on like a piece of rock or whatever, and this thing like multiplies and multiplies until it has consumed everything that it can, and then eventually this organism is just going to die because it runs out of food. Whereas if it could think, and if it was like wanting to like continue itself, like prolong its lifespan or whatever, then it could slow down and be like, hey, let me make sure I do this sustainably, you know. And maybe when a part of me dies, the living part can go and eat the dead part of me or something. So there's some kind of cycle going on. I'm not saying we should cannibalize or something, but you know what I mean. It's like a
Yeah,
um,
like we've been blessed with the ability to think and
yeah,
to rationalize. So we could, before we destroy ourselves,
mm,
come up with a solution of prolonging the human existence.
yeah. And potentially even reversing some of the harm we've done. Like, uh, I don't mean like bring the extinct rhino back, but I mean like preserve what we have, and like, because
Use it differently, better, more
yeah,
efficiently.
kind of the biggest issue at play, I think, is people not respecting that other forms of life, other like huge land mammals, whatever they be, um, they need space too. They need land, like, and they need like a habitat to live in. And it's not going to work if like we pop cities everywhere, or like just go around turning everything into farmland, or there's like we need to be a little bit more like less selfish, like just thinking about humans the whole time. Like I think that's kind of one of the problems, is like putting human life first all the time. uh it's like, so people are so important. That's because we have like these kind of emotional bonds to other humans or whatever. And I'm not saying kill people, but like just like what makes like John the dickhead like a better life form than the last living rhino.
Well, John the dickhead, let's say he's living in Kenya and Eastern Kenya or whatever, and yeah, he's got his family and he's farming sorghum,
Mm.
whatever, and there are elephants in the area,
Yeah.
like wild elephants, which there still are in Africa. Not that many, but there still are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they come and they eat his crops. So he
Mm.
can't make money to feed his family. So what he does is he shoots the elephant like in the head with a large powered rifle.
Yeah.
Or if there's more elephants, he shoots the whole herd, and then they die, and then that's a problem that is kind of like for him. He can just carry on farming and providing for his family.
Mm.
But here's where the conflict is, because I think this is happening every day. Like people are on the edge of where humans exist, and because there's 7 billion of us, we always encroaching. We have encroached all over the earth, but we're starting
Yeah.
to live and set up communities in areas that were previously just kind of like wild, and that's where your elephants and your lions kind of lived. But it's a question of space.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, like, fair enough, all creatures should be treated equal, but there is definitely a divide between humans and animals, and we've been crushing animals since like,
Yeah.
well, I think they had like the upper hand back in the day when we were like in caves, and they were like,
Yeah. Yeah.
saber-toothed tigers, and we had to like use like our flight and fight adrenaline reflex, and like alert and stuff. And now it's just like, we have guns, we have houses, we have cars, tanks, technology, cell phones. Poison. They don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
So John the Dickhead, I don't know. What are you going to... Okay, I'm sure ecologists out there are trying to figure out ways to... that John the Dickhead could live in harmony with the elephants, and he could perhaps protect the elephants from poachers and get an income that way, or who knows what. That conservation is a big thing, but I kind of like, what would you do if like an elephant was eating your livelihood?
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Maybe we will be that rock that just gets consumed by this fungus, and then eventually we'll just die out. But that's what makes it such a gift. Like when you're saying you're sitting in your car and you had a bit of a thought of like, what's the point to all of this? But that's what I'm saying. There is like the fact that you're there sitting in a car like is a miracle.
Yeah, that's kind of the conclusion I came to when I was talking to my significant other about that feeling last night. And like the kind of conclusion that we came to was like, this is the point, like the meaning.
Like we are having a conversation right now.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in Germany. You're sitting in Cape Town. Yeah. And we're using our minds and our words to communicate to each other. And it's beautiful. We have a connection. Yeah. And this is probably why we ended up killing off the Neanderthals, because we can like communicate better, or, you know what I mean? Like, because they were also around same time we were, and then somehow they died out, and we kind of like kept on going, and here we are 7 billion people later.
They're
finding molecules on Mars. But at the same time, there's like no solution for like, oh fuck, there's too much plastic in the oceans. There's fucking whales with like, I don't know, 80 shopping bags in their stomachs. They're finding like trainers in an iceberg in the Arctic. It's like, okay, I get it, but how are these thoughts like? Like, what am I supposed to do with this information? I could I mean, if I really wanted to do something about it, I could be like, okay, um, let me get to the root of this problem. Like the consumer has the power. Like you, with your dollars, you can like vote for like saving the planet. That's a very common kind of like what people say when you say, hey, what can I do? How can I help out? You say, vote with your dollars. Go to this place, buy this, or don't buy lots of things at all. Buy only things you need. I could do that.
Yeah.
I could, but I don't.
Yeah, because we're all lazy. And
We're not just lazy. I think we're just we're not designed really to understand the unless it's like a lion in front of you.
Yeah.
Then you really need to like do something about it. But all this like the shopping bags and the whale stomach, and it's like it's all happening on a screen in front of my face. And like cool, like I can walk around my neighborhood and I see plastic lying around and whatever, and that's not cool. And but I don't understand what am I supposed to do about it really. But there's going to be a lot of people that would say, hey, like, well, there's always something you can do. I know there's something I can do, but like I don't do anything about it. Maybe because am I a bad person? And probably, I mean, we all have our weaknesses.
Yeah.
But
I think it's, as you were saying, like there isn't that kind of fight or flight reaction to it because it's so slow. It's such a slow creeping process that, I mean, only now people are like, when there's whales washing up with like half a supermarket shopping bags in its stomach or whatever, or there's a storm and then people go to the beach afterwards and they're like, shit, look what was in the ocean, now it's on my beach, all these plastic bottles. It's like there's no sense of immediacy. Like no one's panicking because it's not like, oh, I just had a heart attack. It's like, oh, my finger's sore. That's how people feel about it. It's like, oh, I'll go get that checked out sometime. So it's the slow creeping process of like,
it's like your knee.
Yeah, it's like my knee. Exactly. I was going to say my knee, but I didn't want to jinx it. But like, it could be like a subtle, tiny thing that if you correct it now, like you might discover that you've prevented cancer or something. Like that's probably what's happening with the whole world's ecosystem at the moment. Is like there's these signs of cancer showing in places, and people are kind of like, yeah, we'll sort it out at some point. There's some people doing shit. Like, because there's people doing stuff, and it seems like there's action being taken. But like
minimalists,
yeah, even people that are like coming up with ways of like collecting all the plastic out of the ocean and stuff like that, or using like automated machines or whatever that'll do that, or even like Woolworths now in South Africa, they're planning to have no plastic packaging, or no, I think it's packaging by like 2020 or 2022 or something like that. So like it's cool that it seems like there's been a tipping point now where it's like we've kind of gone to the doctor and been diagnosed with something, so now we need to do something. But like sometimes it feels like is it a little bit too late, because there's a lot of like symptoms of a like sickness, like the ecosystem seems a bit sick, like reefs like bleached and all that shit, and like I don't know,
two-headed turtles.
Yeah, animals going extinct. Is that a real thing? Two-headed turtles?
Yeah, of course.
Sweet.
I don't know if it's caused from like plastic, the environment, but I get what you're saying. It's like the plastic. There's plastic all over and stuff like that, and it sucks because it's dirty and it's like nature's so beautiful, and here we are not treating it with the respect it deserves. But there's a silver lining. I mean, we could turn it around, like capable of that's the thing. Like that's what I find more interesting than Mars, like is the human, like the brain, like what are we capable of, and like, you know, just like thinking differently and looking at things at a different kind of way, and like, because there's always like moments where somebody will come up with something and you'll be like, that's brilliant, you know, like, I don't know. Let's take an example.
Scoods.
Something off the top of my head. Scoods, which are scarves and hoods in one piece of material. No, well, I'll talk to you about a practical example. Like, there's been a lot of rain here recently, the last 2 days. Otherwise, it's been really cool. We had an awesome summer, but obviously, you know, with the warm temperatures, the clouds and climate and everything, the rain comes down, right? What I did was I invested in a item of clothing, a jacket, a rain jacket, which is breathable, and I put it on this morning, and I rode to work on my bike with my rain jacket on. And, you know, that's another example of like just what humans are capable of like inventing certain materials that kind of like breathe, but at the same time, like, they don't let moisture in, but they let moisture out. You know, it's like, the technology is crazy. You know, it's just a jacket, I know, and but I'm just saying that is an example of like what people can do, and it's not, and that's just like just one thing. So imagine if we like could put our heads together and look at a problem and like be like, okay, cool, let's do this, and that problem will slowly go away, like plastic. But plastic's like, it's like, it breaks up, you know. So it's like there's been like decades of plastic use, and now it's like, you know, they're breaking up into like micro kind of like particles, which is just in everything.
Yeah, totally. It's like, I don't know. It's like, so we're consuming plastic when we consume meat, pretty much, like fish or whatever.
Basically, like you will be consuming particles of plastic. Like a lot of fish, because that's where most of the plastic is in the oceans. And otherwise, like, and also thinking about it, like in the meat too, it's probably like loads, you know, if it's coming from like the earth and like landfills and stuff like that, and like water would run through the landfill and like grab those. It's everywhere.
Totally. It'll evaporate from the sea, microparticles maybe going with evaporated water, who knows. It's everywhere, bro.
But it's fine. It's not a problem.
If we as a species,
okay, it's a problem, but what I'm trying to say is, I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about it now, you know, so it's obviously a topical thing, you know, it's like on.
It's big, like, don't use straws, you know, McDonald's stop producing straws, whatever.
It's banning big, like Frisbees and water wings and shit like that, you know, like, so, but I don't know. I just don't see a solution in sight, really. Although, I mean, you could just through your purchases, like, buy things without plastic, or if you're at the shops, then you just remove the plastic there, so you can just leave it there, and they can deal with it, you know.
But I don't know. Like, I guess it's going a good way now. Like, with people creating so much of a thing about it, that they're encouraging companies not to use plastic or to find alternatives or whatever. So that's a good thing. But if we can send, you know, if we can, say, for example, colonize space, if we can send people to Mars to like live and like start off so we can be an interplanetary species, why can't we solve the plastic problem? Like, you know, we put our heads together. If because you have like this, okay, I read an article today that's made me consider this, but like it's like this billionaires club of dudes who are doing the space race thing now again. They want to like start space stations and like get like colonies going on like the moon or Mars or whatever. And they a big part of it is mining. So there's profiting behind this. That is like a big reason why they want to do this. It's maybe a bit of a legacy for them as well, but like it's very much also guys wanting to become trillionaires. You know, they're billionaires now, but like if they bring one of these asteroids, I don't know, like bits of it down to Earth, like that shit is like super valuable, man. And they were saying there's this one that NASA's eyeing out that if they can bring this asteroid, if they could bring it down to Earth, they could potentially destroy Earth's economy. That's how valuable it is. It's like just precious metals, you know, that are, yeah, like they were saying, like there's a much to make everyone on Earth a billionaire, but it would be pointless if everyone was a billionaire because then a loaf of bread would be $1 billion or whatever, you know. So if these motherfuckers can
you know,
get
at the end
people
of the
to
day,
Mars and space stations, then why can't they solve the tiny issue we're having here with like people being fucking selfish and closed-minded and not,
well, there's no money behind it.
well, there's like survival, human survival is behind it. Like that's what they claim, like
Well, these
going to
guys,
Mars is.
these trillionaires are like, okay, they don't think like that. I think they're like, I have my little island, you know, fortresses wherever they are across the world, and then when the shit hits the fan, they've probably got a base camp in Mars, and they can fuck off to Mars, and they'll be cool there, and we can all just die. But at the end of the day, like it's the basics: food, water, shelter, and if that's not there, uh, that's a big fucking problem, you know, and not just for everyone, but also for the trillionaire guys, because they are the ones that are also like in kind of the crosshairs, if you know what I mean. Like there's lots of these conspiracy theories about, you know, the Rothschild family and the Oppenheimers, Rockefellers, and, you know, like that pyramid thing with the eye on it. And
Yeah.
so, and that whole Occupy movement thing was like, I know it's anti-capitalist, but at the same time, anti-capitalist is also I mean, anti the 1%.
Yeah.
But I don't think capitalism is all about that. I mean, I think that's the bad part about it is the 1%, but I think there's a lot of good in it too, you know. So it's perhaps, you know, it's trying to get to like a new form of capitalism where we can all just like live nicely together, you know, like without having the inequality. But having said that, oh man, it's like we're living on planet Earth, and just take a look at like any nature kind of show, Sir David Attenborough, and look at that nature, what's going on. We are part of that. So it wouldn't surprise me if it just kind of like ends. You know what I mean?
What do you mean, like
Life, just
life?
as we know, just with a tipping point, it's gone. It all comes back to like all the stuff we can't control, you know, but it all comes down to like, you know, it's a cliche, but the whole kind of like slowing down and being more conscious of like what is happening at this present moment.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about it, and it's very topical, and mindfulness and all that kind of thing. And like, but it's a cliche for a reason, and it's like if you can concentrate on that, there are people out there that would argue that that's all that matters, really.
Yeah.
And obviously,
You mean the moment?
uh, yeah, like the moment, but like one has to also bear in mind, but it's not in a way where you say, hey, like there is like YOLO. It's not like that.
Yeah.
It's just more like being more aware, or like a certain amount of awareness, I would say.
Would you say like awareness with gratitude? That kind of like,
Yeah,
yeah, just kind of appreciating the fact that you have this moment, like what you were saying. It's kind of a gift that I was able to sit in the car and think about that.
considering that we're a part of nature, and the plastic situation, and these trillionaires, space cadets, and that it could end not only from kind of like what we're talking about, which would be like, I don't know, some kind of apocalyptic climate meltdown, atomic war, whatever. I'm talking about like normal shit, like getting hit by a car,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. On a smaller
like
scale, just for yourself. Yeah, as well.
yeah, or like having health issues, like I mentioned before about my gran,
Mm.
like uh people die. Some people die at an older age, and I touch wood, and hopefully I'll get to that ripe old age of 92 or whatever, and be able to move on at that time. That would be nice, but who knows?
Yeah.
So I find it like quite easy to think, or to with a certain amount of certainty that I will live to that ripe old age. It's like take it for granted. Like um, I've got another what, 50, 60 years left,
Mm.
but that's not the case.
Yeah, not necessarily.
No, I mean it could all end. Like imagine you knew when you were going to die. Like
Yeah.
there was somebody you could phone, and like you said, look here, when I'm going to die. He's going to say, okay, you're going to die at this. Like how would that change you? If like, let's say for example, I phone the guy and it's like, you've only got, I don't know, like you're going to die at like at, I don't know, 62 or whatever.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I will go into tomorrow a different person.
Yeah.
It would be like a whole new life.
But will you maintain that feeling, that kind of different personness, or in like a year are you going to be like, fuck it, yeah, I've got till 62, and you'll be the same as you were, or like,
But this is the thing. It's like,
it's almost like why, like, do we need to do something, like, do we need to do stuff, like, what I mean is, uh there's no kind of yardstick to say this is how I should be doing stuff if I have a week left to live. If I have a week left to live, I should, yeah, like there's certain things that should be done, or something. Like there's nothing that says, like, I think you won't know what to do. Like you'll be like, oh, I want to spend time with the people that matter. That's probably the most important. But other than that, like it's not like you want to like become like a maths whiz, or yeah, or do some crazy shit. Maybe you like really enjoy chilling and like having a think or a read or something, and that might be exactly what you do anyway, just without like a sense of gratitude in each moment you do it. And you can't be expected to have that kind of momentary appreciation constantly, like, yeah. You know what I'm getting at? Like,
yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's difficult because like that's how we are, you know. It's like we we have like this standard way of living, and which is fine. It's actually really good, because if we weren't like that, we'd probably like have all kinds of like issues, you know, like
Mm.
stress or depression or whatever.
Mm.
But like it's nice to know that if like certain things don't go according to plan,
Yeah.
that you could know, you know that one day this is all going to end, and using, but in the moment obviously it's very difficult to have this going on in your brain when you like get cut off in traffic, or somebody nearly kills you while you're driving your bike, you know, like just by being an idiot. It's
Yeah.
difficult in that mode, like hold on, um let me just be grateful for like, you know, being alive. uh,
Mm.
but I think, you know, that anger or whatever kind of emotion you feel at that time will come, but maybe like just knowing that it'll pass and then letting it pass, I suppose, is also important, because I often get stuck on like little things like would piss me off, and I'd be like 3 days later I'd still be pissed off about it.
Yeah.
And it's like whatever that thing was is not important, you know, but in my mind and my kind of like my person or who I am has taken that thing and turned it into like, I don't know, a huge drama. Whereas I could have just been like, oh, well, with, you know, perspective, I could be like, okay, this has come into my life, and these are the emotions that I'm feeling right now. And let me just appreciate those emotions. But you kind of like, it's that ability that we have as humans to like, you know, look at the situation, looking or observing this from a different perspective, and let's just watch and see what happens, and then let that just move on. You know, like watching a dark cloud just float across the skyline,
Yeah.
and then that way it doesn't turn into like this crazy drama. You know, like where, you know, blood pressure goes up and you become angry. And I'm talking from a personal point of view. I mean, maybe I'm an angry
Yeah.
person, but this is why I'm thinking about this, because I don't want to be an angry person, you know. So for you, maybe you're not like that at all. Like are there moments where you would be like, I'm pissed off now, and like um I'm really upset?
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
and would those moments turn into minutes and then
Yeah.
hours? Or would it just be
Yeah. Yeah.
would it just be like
No,
a moment?
I'm quite a overthinker, and um, yeah, so I can dwell on topics and happenings quite a bit, and a big thing about that is also like replaying what happened, and then kind of imagining different ways that it could have gone, and imagining ways that you're gonna uh, approach the same thing in future, or how you can, like all the different scenarios of how you can I don't know, fix that or react to that in some way, um, which is kind of like, it's kind of opposite to living in the moment, because, or being present, because while you're thinking about all that stuff, you aren't present in the now. You're thinking about like some fantasy that you're creating about this thing that happened, or about this thing that might happen in future. And that is when you're not in the moment, because you're in your head being like all distant and shit. This, like, I watched this movie last night or the night before, Brad's Status, new Ben Stiller movie. And it's quite interestingly shot, because like he's the protagonist, and it's the whole thing is from his perspective. So it's weird seeing him in well, it got weird for me seeing him in every scene of the movie, because it's all about him. So you don't see other people's happenings. It's always he's in every scene, and the whole thing is kind of about his kind of overthinking of stuff, and like he's like, and then I imagined what it would be like if this happened, and then I imagined that, and he's actually just sitting there, like the way other people would see him is he's sitting there with like a distant look on his face, but he's actually living these false realities. And the issue with that is then you have emotional connection to these head stories you're telling yourself, and then you bring those back into the present moment, whereas they aren't real. So it's the emotion about it isn't real. Your emotion should be like reacting to the current situation you're in, not to like, oh, now I'm angry with this person because I thought myself into more anger about them. And then it's like coming back into the present, you're like, fuck you. But it's like, the dude actually did something yesterday and he's a different person now, or I don't know, just for example. But yeah.
Overthinking.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting movie, and it kind of made me understand that like being present thing a bit more. Yeah.
Well, that's I suppose a good thing for, movies these days are like, it sounds like this is one of them where they're very different, like they're taking paradigms and they're like looking at certain structures as we all know them, and like playing with them and making us see things in different ways. And I think like the days of like old bog standard 2+2 equals 4 and then climax at the end movie, their days are numbered, because people, they've been exposed to like all these crazy films that have come out and TV series where it's like they play with the structure and everything. And it's like people want to experience that, and I've got to see this film. It sounds like something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely different. And I mean, there was a couple of times when, and I'm sure you'll feel it too. I'm sure like almost everyone will feel it. Like you're like, am I like that? Is that how I am? Because we all have that kind of imagination thing. Yeah, and like talking to yourself in your head or imagining scenarios and stuff. And so I think you'll experience that. Yeah, it's quite nice.
I wanted to ask you, we wanted to do a podcast this evening, right?
Yeah.
Are we still going to do that, or?
Yeah, I suppose we haven't counted down and started anything.
Should we just make this the podcast?
We could do that, yeah.
Because if we did, this would be around the time where we'd start winding down to the outro.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's give a first an intro, just a quick boom shakalaka.
Just hold on there. There were like one or two technical diffs that came up. I don't know if you experienced on your side. I got like just a couple of sentences, like half the sentence was lost to like robot noises.
I know, and I experienced some technical difficulties from your side. Not many, but one or two Xanax moments.
Yeah.
But I think that's like part of life, technical difficulties. You can't, I mean, we're not perfectionists, even like making, I just think it's beautiful that we make the time to do this, like.
Yeah, that's true.
And when it happens, it's a beautiful thing, regardless of whether we have we have, I hope this evening, slight technical difficulties. I mean, last time there were huge issues, but that was because of my better half was watching soap operas and using up all the bandwidth. And I think you got some better halves also chowing some bandwidth that side
Yeah.
too, which is let people chow bandwidth. And
Yeah.
like I need to get like faster internet, you know.
Yeah, likewise, man. Yeah, sure. Um, yeah, like as you said, we're not perfectionists. I am a bit of a perfectionist though, and what I'd like to do is moving forward. Like I think we just need to get our acts together and make this work. You know, like we find
Definitely.
the perfect medium to make this shit work better than it is. Like, because that's what like human life has become. It's about improving. It's about improvement. It's about evolution and like building, you know, like building on the shoulders of giants. Like that's what we do. We we just keep improving, keep pushing to the next perfect point, you know, and then once you're there, you push to the next one, and I think we'll do that.
But I think that's happening. You know,
Yeah, it
like
definitely is happening. Yeah,
obviously things can be improved. There's always room for improvement, but just the fact that we're going on to number 11, I think this would be,
is
or
it?
would it be 12?
I think it's 12, eh? Number 12.
It
Hmm.
could be, no, last week would have been 11, but that got cancelled because of the technical issues. This is 11, I
Oh,
think.
really? Okay, cool.
Um, which in itself is a small victory. And like, I've heard that most podcasts don't get past 13.
Really?
So if we can get 13 under our belts,
Or 14
I
then?
think, yeah, or 14. Well, and then that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks for coming. No, I mean, like if you look at some of the podcasts out there, like they're in their hundreds of episodes that these guys are doing. And
Dude,
I think what
thousands, dude. Yeah.
thousands of
Joe
episodes, and
Rogan.
like every
Yeah.
episode, yeah, I mean that guy's on 1,300 or whatever. But
Sure.
anyway, we're on number 11 right now.
Mm.
And we're learning through every kind of podcast, you know.
Yeah, totally.
So I think, yeah, to infinity and beyond, onwards and
Yeah.
upwards.
Yeah. And
Uh,
with that in mind, like shall we take this? Because tonight we were actually planning to do a podcast on human colonies in space and like asteroid mining and that sort of business. And I mean, we did mention a couple of things about it, but like, shall we take this pod? Let's make this a pod, and we call it like a prequel to that, but with like a little bit of, you know, whatever else we talked about thrown in the ecology of the planet and life in general and being present and whatnot.
your
Yeah,
knee.
my knee, your anger. Uh, yeah, like shall we take this as like a kind of a prequel to space colonies and like the human spirit of pushing beyond and like pushing off of planet Earth into like multi-planetary
Yes.
uh what's the word? Yeah,
Species.
multi-planetary species. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
Well,
do it.
yeah, unless next week we find something better to talk about. So, yeah. But
Well,
yeah.
I like the way today it kind of like we didn't even have the intro, you know,
Mm.
and it just it, it, it felt good to me, you know, like I do like saying boom shakalaka mother huggers,
Yeah.
but it also kind of like it makes it kind of like, okay, now we have begun. Let us now um put on our game faces, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
whereas
I know what you mean. Yeah. It's like it
um
formalizes it. Whereas we just had a
yeah,
conversation now. That's all.
exactly, which is
Yeah.
cool. And
Yeah.
I hope other people find it cool too. The Fearsome 14, you know, and now we're available on Stitcher and Pocket Casts,
Yes.
I believe, and Anchor
Yeah.
FM.
So sorry, I cut you off there when you wanted to shall we give an intro? Shall we give an intro? Do
Yes, do
you
it
want
on
to
the
count
count of
us in?
three.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Boom shakalaka,
Shakalaka,
mother
mother huggers.
huggers.
Ah. My name is Dane.
Welcome. And my name is Jared, and this is the 10 Gents. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Boom. And then we'll go straight out to our outro. Guys,
Yeah.
thanks for listening. Thanks for all the support online. We really appreciate it. And that was the show.
Yeah. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Sleep tight.